Here's part two of my conversation with Dale.
During the Trump years, as you know, immigration was pretty much his number one, and the issues and the problems we were experiencing was his number one issue. So, and a lot of his policies that he instituted were to correct the many wrongs and the problems in this country around immigration. And he was sued left and right by the ACLU and many other groups. And so we defended the president's policies all throughout the country. During his 4 years, we filed more than 180 court briefs on his behalf, various courts throughout the nation, defending his policies, filed more than 50 public comments on new regulations that he had proposed, describing legally how they were valid and how they would help the country. So the president was very kind to recognize the work that we had done during his administration, but also, as the statement noted, the president is taking notice of the work we are currently doing, because as we all know, Biden in 10 short months has made a mess of things and created a border crisis that we almost had operational control of the entire southwest border. But Biden has undone all that. And so we are working with various state attorneys general, and particularly in Texas, where we are getting many great decisions from the courts there. My organization is Outside Counsel, so we actually officially represent the state of Texas in these lawsuits. And so far, Texas is 3-0 against the Biden administration.
Is it fair to say that everything you and your organization, the IRLI, have worked for has been under attack and being destroyed in the Biden months?
Oh, it is. It is, absolutely. And you see that in the numbers. As you stated, the border was the most secure that in my lifetime. And President Trump had built hundreds of miles of new wall, and replaced the dilapidated fence that anybody could jump over. In some portions, we had no wall at all. Some places we had dilapidated short fencing. The president effectively was gaining control of the border, and that showed it in the numbers. It's amazing that mainstream media does not want to admit the disaster that the Biden administration is. We had, at the end of this fiscal year that just ended here, more than 1.7 million apprehensions by Border Patrol. 1.7 million. Folks, if you don't understand what those numbers mean, let me put that into perspective. There are only 10 cities in the United States that have a population of over 1 million. There are only 10 U.S. cities. And that number is more than the population of Dallas, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, San Diego, California, San Jose, California. Biden has made a disaster of our immigration system.
The apprehensions of 1,700 would suggest, I've heard numbers that if they've for every one they apprehend, there's 10 more that get across. So wouldn't that put the amount of people in this country in the millions that have made it into this country illegally?
Absolutely. Actually, the 1.7 is the government's estimate, and that is low. Now, we know from camera use, sensors, that at least 400,000 additional people made it past Border Patrol. The 1.7 million number that I mentioned, that were apprehensions. Someone was actually apprehended by Border Patrol. There were at least 400,000 gotaways, people that were not apprehended, that are in the country now. That number is likely larger than that because you have to have stepped on a sensor or been seen on a camera to even be in that number. And what's so distressing here is last fiscal year, at least 11 individuals on the terror watch list were apprehended in the group that were apprehended. There were 52 Al-Qaeda suspects caught in Panama coming up toward the United States here recently. How many terrorists were in that 400,000 gotaways or the ones who were never even were not noticed and are now in this country. And I hate to say this, and I don't want to be negative, but we are headed toward another 9/11 type disaster as a result of this administration.
I couldn't agree more, Dale. We did an entire show, not on Afghanistan, the debacle of how we got out of there. We did an entire show on what they did after they left, which is bring back 80,000 Afghans that we know of. They put them on planes. They dispersed them throughout this country. I want to get your reaction to this. We talked with a congressman. I forgot his last name. His first name is Tim. He's a congressman in Wisconsin. He visited a military base where he got word, not in his district, but he wanted to go to the base. He got word they sent 3,000 Afghans to a military base in Wisconsin. And so he went to the base to check it out. He wanted to see what kind of living conditions they were in, what they were doing, how they were being guarded, etc. You won't believe what he found. Not a one of them was on the base. They had gotten permission to leave the base from the commander of the base. This is the military, the woke military, I call them, that is more worried about critical race theory, teaching that, than protecting Americans. So is this a surprise to you? They let these people leave the military base?
No, it's not a surprise to me, not at all. I heard recently from a former commissioner of Customs and Border Protection, Mark Morgan, great guy, great patriot. And he was telling me that it takes 18 to 24 months to vet any individual who comes from a terror-prone country. Okay, that's the normal process. Now look what Biden has done. He has not followed the normal process. And the normal process requires us to have a consulate, an embassy in that country, so that our boots on the ground there can contact the government, verify the documents that the potential refugee is presenting to the U.S. government. Is this valid? Now, who are we going to go to right now to ask if documents are real? If they're the Taliban? Are you kidding me? This is what we're stuck with now. So normally this process takes 18 to 24 months. The administration has not done it correctly. They quickly imported these people into the country, and only 3 to 6% of these individuals actually did something for our military. Okay, they got special visas to come into the country. Who are the others? Who are the tens of thousands of others that came in also? What were their roles? Who are these people? They haven't been vetted properly. And now, as you pointed out, on military bases, they're just walking off the base into our communities. What a national security disaster.
Thanks to Dale Wilcox, and you can find his work and his organization at IRLI.org. That's IRLI.org. And I'll have parts 3 and 4 of my conversation with Dale next week.